I never thought a simple thank you text would destroy my marriage. But here I am, 6 months later, sitting in my empty apartment, wondering how ordering a latte at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday changed everything. I mean, it was just coffee, right? Wrong. I remember because I was working on this massive project for a client, and I'd been stuck in my home office for 3 days straight. My eyes were burning, my back was killing me, and I hadn't seen another human being except for Mark's quick good morning and how was your day routine. Dark hair, kind eyes, wearing this faded band t-shirt that looked like it had stories to tell. And when he looked up and caught me staring, he didn't look away. He smiled, not the polite social smile you give strangers, a real smile. Like he was genuinely happy to see me, even though we'd never met. I started looking forward to Tuesdays. I'd find myself planning what to wear, what to talk about. David and I had never so much as held hands. I said I understood, but really I was relieved. The guilt was eating me alive. I met David at the coffee shop the next Tuesday, planning to end whatever this was. Mark and I are in counseling now. I don't know if we'll make it. Some days I think we will. Some days I think too much damage has been done, but we're trying. We're talking, really talking, for the first time in years. I still walk past the coffee shop sometimes. I don't go in. I learned something about myself in all of this. I learned that I'm capable of deception, of selfishness, of hurting the person I promised to love above all others. I learned that the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's just different grass. But I also learned that feeling invisible in your own life isn't sustainable. That marriages take work, conscious effort, the choice to keep seeing each other even when it's easier not to. It was just coffee, until it wasn't. Until it became a mirror that showed me everything I was missing in my life. The question now is, was it worth it? Ask me in a year. Maybe I'll know by then. But when I told him what had happened, he didn't run. He held my hand across the table and said, "I'm sorry you're going through this, but I'm not sorry you're in my life." For 2 months, I thought I was living in a romance novel. David and I started dating officially. He took me to art galleries and foreign films. He cooked for me, actually cooked, not just heated up leftovers. He listened when I talked about my work, my dreams, my fears. He was everything Mark wasn't. Or maybe he was everything Mark used to be before we got lazy with each other. But here's the thing about fantasy, it only works until reality sets in. I'm not having an affair, but you want to be. I opened my mouth to deny it, but the words wouldn't come. Because he was right. I did want to be. I wanted to be anywhere but in that room, having that conversation, facing the reality of what I'd done to our marriage. "Sarah, answer me. Do you want to be with him?" I looked at my husband, really looked at him for the first time in months. I saw the hurt in his eyes, the confusion, the desperate hope that I'd say no, that I'd fight for us. But I also saw the distance that had been growing between us for years. The way we'd stopped really seeing each other. The way we'd become comfortable with comfortable, even when comfortable wasn't enough. "I don't know," I whispered, and those 3 words destroyed everything. I told myself it was harmless, just coffee with a friend. Everyone needs friends, right? But friends don't make your heart race when you see them. But every time he brought up the future, I felt this panic in my chest. Because I realized I didn't actually know him. Not really. I knew the version of him that existed in that coffee shop, in stolen afternoons, in the excitement of something new and forbidden. But what was he like when he was stressed, when he was sick, when he was just ordinary? I'd fallen in love with the idea of him, with the way he made me feel about myself. But I'd done the same thing with Mark once, hadn't I? In the beginning, Mark had made me feel seen too. The difference was, Mark and I had built a life together. We deep in through job losses and family deaths and boring Tuesday nights and grocery shopping and all the mundane, beautiful, difficult parts of actually being with someone. David and I had shared coffee and conversation and the thrill of almost but not quite. Friends don't make you lie to your husband about where you've been, because that's what I was doing now. Lying, small lies, but lies nonetheless. Where'd you go? Mark would ask when I came home, just for a walk, needed some air. Did you get coffee somewhere? You smell like coffee. Oh, I stopped at that place on 5th Street, just needed a change of scenery. The lies got easier each time. That should have been my first warning sign. By week 4, David and I were texting. It started innocent enough. He sent me a photo of a sunset, said it reminded him of something I'd said about color palettes. I sent back a heart emoji. A heart emoji. To a man who wasn't my husband. First time here. He asked as I waited for my drink. Mark said one evening over dinner. I was in the shower when Mark's voice carried through the bathroom door. Sarah, your phone's buzzing. My blood went cold. I'd left my phone on the nightstand, and David had been texting more frequently lately. Always sweet, always innocent, but intimate in a way that would be impossible to explain. Just let it go to voicemail, I called out. But I heard Mark's footsteps moving away from the door. When I got out of the shower, Mark was sitting on the bed, my phone in his hands. His face was white. Who's David? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I wrapped the towel tighter around myself, buying time I didn't have. He's just a friend. A friend who texts you good morning every day. A friend who sends you poems. A friend who says he misses you. Each word was like a slap. I wanted to defend myself, to explain that it wasn't what it looked like, but how could I? Because it was exactly what it looked like. Mark, I can explain. Are you having an affair? The question hung in the air between us like a loaded gun. Happier, I guess. More alive. My stomach dropped. Do I? Yeah, it's nice. I feel like I haven't seen you smile this much in years. The guilt hit me like a truck. Here was my husband, noticing that I was happier, and he was genuinely glad about it. He had no idea that my happiness had nothing to do with him and everything to do with another man. But instead of coming clean, instead of examining why I needed someone else to make me feel alive, I just smiled and said, I guess I'm just in a good mood lately. That night, David texted me, thank you for brightening my Tuesdays. You have no idea how much I look forward to seeing you. I stared at that message for 10 minutes before responding, thank you for seeing me. The moment I hit send, I knew I'd crossed a line. This wasn't just coffee anymore. Is it that obvious? I laughed, and I realized it was the first time I'd laughed in, God, I couldn't even remember. Not obvious, he said, closing his notebook. Just, you look like someone discovering something new. It's nice to see. I needed air. I needed something. He was an artist, not a starving artist, but someone who actually made a living creating things. He told me about his latest commission, a mural for a children's hospital. Sarah. He lit up when he saw me. How's the Johnson project going? He remembered, not just my name, but what I'd told him about my work. When was the last time Mark had asked about a specific project? We talked for an hour that day. About art, about dreams, about the places we wanted to travel. He'd been to Italy 3 times. I'd never left the state. You should go, he said. I bet you love Florence. The light there. It would inspire your design work. Mark had never talked to me about inspiration. I told him about my graphic design work, and for the first time in years, someone was genuinely interested in what I did. When I finally left, he said, I hope to see you again, Sarah. I realized I'd never told him my name. He'd heard the barista call it out with my order, but the fact that he remembered that he used a ... it made me feel seen. I walked home in a daze, still tasting the caramel on my lips. There's this little coffee shop 2 blocks from our house called The Daily Grind. But that night, when Mark asked how my day was, I hesitated for just a second too long. Fine, I said. I just worked on the Johnson project. I didn't mention the coffee shop. I didn't mention David, and I couldn't figure out why. The next Tuesday, I went back. I told myself it was for the coffee, which really was better than what I made at home. But if I'm being honest, I was hoping to see him again. I'd walked past it 100 times, but never went in. Mark always said their coffee was overpriced, and honestly, I just made coffee at home. Why spend money when you don't have to, right? But that day, I didn't care about the money. I threw on my jacket and walked over. So wrong. My name is Sarah, and I need to tell you this story because maybe it'll save someone else from making the same mistake I did. Or maybe I just need to get it out of my head before it drives me completely insane. 3 years ago, I had what I thought was the perfect life. Mark and I had been married for 8 years. We had our little routine. He'd leave for work at 7 a.m. I'd work from home doing freelance graphic design, and we'd have dinner together every night at 6:30 sharp. Predictable? Sure, but comfortable, safe. I thought I was happy. I really did. But looking back now, I realize I was just existing, going through the motions. When was the last time Mark and I had a real conversation? When did we stop laughing together? When did we become roommates instead of lovers? I didn't know the answers to those questions then. I was about to find out. It was a Tuesday in March. The moment I stepped inside, I felt different. It wasn't just the smell of freshly ground beans or the soft jazz playing in the background. It was the energy. People were talking, laughing, working on laptops, reading books. There was life in there. I ordered a caramel macchiato, something I'd never had before but always wanted to try. As I waited, I noticed him. His name was David. He was sitting alone at a corner table, sketching in a notebook. We talked for 20 minutes. 20 minutes that felt like 5. I told myself it was nothing. Just a friendly conversation with a stranger. People talk to strangers all the time, right? He was there, same corner table, different notebook. Week 3, you seemed different. It all came crashing down on a Thursday. No, I said, and technically it was true. Mark moved out that weekend. He said he needed space to think, to figure out if we could come back from this. David wanted to introduce me to his friends, take me to his sister's wedding, make it official. I ended things with David 3 weeks ago. He said he understood, but I could see the hurt in his eyes. The same hurt I'd seen in Mark's.